Research literature and recent books and common sense all point to the fact that there are different types or styles of ADHD. In the past, we referred to Attention Deficit Disorder, Inattentive Type, or Impulsive Hyperactive Type, or a combined type. Today, the diagnosis differences are a bit less clear, but the reality doesn't change. Classic ADHD: inattentive, distractible, disorganized, perhaps hyperactive, restless, and impulsive. Inattentive ADHD: inattentive and disorganized. Overfocused ADHD: trouble shifting attention, frequently stuck in loops of negative thoughts, obsessive, excessive worry, inflexible, oppositional, and argumentative. Temporal lobe ADHD: inattentive, irritable, aggressive, dark thoughts, mood instability, very impulsive, may break rules, fight, be defiant, and very disobedient. Poor handwriting and trouble learning are common. Limbic system ADHD: inattentive, chronic low-grade depression, negative, low energy, feelings of hopelessness. Ring of Fire ADHD: inattentive, extremely distractible, angry, irritable, oversensitive to the environment, hyper-verbal, extremely oppositional, possible moodiness. The following classifications are based more on clinical observations and experiences. They are based on the classic children's story of Winnie the Pooh and his friends in a 100-acre wood. Winnie the Pooh is a classical picture of inattentive ADHD. Some people call this Space Cadet style ADHD. Dr. Daniel Amann refers to this as inattentive ADHD. These are people that suffer from brain fog as they go through their day. Although Pooh is a very lovable and kind, he is also inattentive, sluggish, slow-moving, unmotivated. He is a classic daydreamer. ADHD is caused by a prefrontal cortex of the brain actually slowing down instead of speeding up activity when placed under workload, like reading or doing homework. This part of the brain looks normal when at rest, but actually looks like it's starting to fall asleep when asked to go to work. This makes it very hard to pay attention to school work, get homework done, listen to the teacher, clean your room, and so on. As you can see in this PET scan, the brain on the right is less active. When at rest, the brainwave activity is pretty normal, but once the subject is asked to read or to do a math worksheet, the subject's brainwave activity begins to look like the subject is falling asleep. This will make school very hard for students. Winnie the Pooh style and attention is seen mostly in girls. It responds well to stimulants such as Ritalin and Adderall, but other interventions work well also.
I'm Tigger, T-I-double-G-R. That spells Tigger.
Tiggers like to bounce. Bouncing is what Tiggers do best. We call this type of ADHD Tigger type. The classic ADHD is characterized by inattention, impulsiveness, hyperactivity, restlessness, and disorganization. This type of ADHD reminds us of Tigger from the Winnie the Pooh stories. Dr. Amann refers to this type of ADHD as a classic ADHD for good reason. When you think of someone who has ADHD, this is the classic picture of what you think of. Tigger type of ADHD results from underactivity in the prefrontal cortex, both when at rest and when performing concentrated tasks. The overfocused ADHD rabbit tends to his garden, and don't bother him. The least flexible character of all the stories of Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin has to be Rabbit. Oh, he can get a lot of things done. He's the one character who will be prepared when winter comes. But if he has to change from activity to activity, he has a hard time. He is absolutely a task-oriented and focused to whatever the task might be. The person with overfocused ADHD is very much the same. He has trouble shifting his attention from one activity to another. He gets stuck in loops of negative thoughts. He can be obsessive and very inflexible. He can also be oppositional and argumentative to parents. He may be like a bulldog and not give up until he gets his way, or until his parents are worn out and finally say yes at his 100th request for something. His parents are often worn out, worn down, fed up, and ready to break. Parenting a child like this is very hard. This cause of type of ADHD is overactive anterior cingulate gyrus. This part of the brain is overactive all the time. And to make things worse, when a workload is put on the brain, such as schoolwork or a chore, there is a common ADHD symptom that decreases activity level in the prefrontal cortex. Piglet is a small, frail character from the 100-acre wood. He's a great friend, very loyal, but he's always worried, nervous, and easily startled. Sometimes he is so nervous that he stutters. So it is so with some children with ADHD. This style of ADHD is very similar to rabbit style, except with Piglet style. The child's midbrain is so over-aroused, the child is hyper-vigilant and very easily startled. He may be talking all the time and is probably touching everything in the room. And this child is nervous, or worried, or anxious. He has trouble shifting attention from one activity to another and gets stuck in loops of negative thoughts. He can be obsessive and very inflexible.
Thanks for noticing me.
He walks slowly, he looks sad, he doesn't accomplish much. He's just glad to be noticed. This is Eeyore, the stuffed donkey, who is so often in need of his tail being pinned back on. This type of ADHD is called limbic system ADHD by Daniel Amann, and for good reasons. Scans show that when the brain is at rest, there's increased activity in the limbic system. There's also a decreased level of activity in the underside of the prefrontal cortex. When the brain is placed under a workload, as during a homework assignment, nothing changes. The overactive limbic system remains overactive and underactive prefrontal cortex remains inactive. This type of ADHD looks very much like the combination of ADHD and depression. Some have suggested that up to 25% of the children with ADHD are also depressed or suffer from mild depression. There are two other kinds of types of ADHD that one should be aware of. There are no Winnie the Pooh characters for these two types, as the creator of these children's stories would have never created a character with these challenging, difficult traits. These two distinctive types of ADHD can be very severe. They require significant treatment and great patience on the part of the parents. Temporal lobes and ADHD. Some people with ADHD can be very hard to live with. They can have gigantic mood swings, get very angry for almost no reason, and be nearly impossible to live with on a daily basis. The key to look for in this type of ADHD is anger outbursts for little or no reason. People with decreased activity in the left temporal lobes can especially have problems with temper outbursts, aggression behaviors, and even violence toward animals and other people.